After Alan and I broke up, I began to practice flirting with the other guys at church. I got so I could hold a small group of young men in thrall, and not just those my age, but guys who were 2 and 3 years older. The quickest route for me to take in walking home from school was down the railroad tracks. It was not uncommon for me to hear hurried approaching footsteps and turn to see a young man of my acquaintance catching up with me. My policy was to be welcoming, complimentary, interested, interesting, and non-committal. It made for some delightful walks home. In Mutual, our teacher gave us a handout entitled, "I will greet this day with love in my heart." She told us to read it every day and apply it in our lives. Well, I decided to try it out one day in the library at school. There was a girl sitting across from me. She had carroty orange hair and thick, heavy makeup, which made her look cheap. But as I looked at her, I said in my head, "I love you." It must have changed my facial expression, because when she happened to look up and saw me looking at her, she smiled, introduced herself, and we began to have a conversation. It was amazing how quickly we became friends. While we were talking, a young man of her acquaintance, a senior, came up and started to chat with her, and he included me in the conversation. It occurred to me that he wouldn't have talked to me at all, except I had been talking to her. I didn't think much of this experience until that afternoon when he caught up with me on the railroad tracks. His name was Ward Ackerman, and he was big and kind of rough looking. He had tousled, russet-colored hair and bushy sideburns. He was kind of dangerous looking, extremely masculine, which made it more exciting. I remember thoroughly enjoying the few times that he walked me home. The last time, he walked me all the way to my door, and as we were saying goodbye, my mom opened the door. I still smile when I remember the expression on her face when she saw her precious daughter with "that thing," which is how she referred to him in later conversations. When school got out, we went back to Riverside, and I never heard or saw him again. But I often recalled the circumstances of our introduction. It made me a firm believer that withholding judgment and looking at each person I encounter with eyes full of love really can open up doors that are quite unexpected.